Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Happy Sunday. This is my first Sunday in a while. I'm going to get to, knocking this out very early in the morning so I can enjoy the whole day of football, just nice and relaxed. Shout out to Kevin at DeCaptain37. He was on the last episode. Great episode. Definitely go back and give it a listen if you missed it or you haven't listened to it in its entirety. He had a lot of great stories on there. I had a lot of great feedback from the first time setting up episode, and I thought I'd try to be a little creative again today. Recapping the East Coast Collection Convention. Say that 3 times fast. East Coast Collection Convention, the EC3 at Mohegan Sun this weekend. And you're always, when I recap these shows, you're always getting my point of view from behind the table and from what I get to, from what little time I get to walk around. I share what I see on the other side of the table. But today, I thought I'd bring on a guest, bring on a friend of the show, Jordan at Zips Cards, just to give a view from the other side of the table at the same show. So, Jordan, welcome, man. How you doing?
I'm good. When I asked you yesterday if we could do this like early in the morning, I didn't anticipate my my 9-month-old being up throughout the night. So, that's on me, but we're here. The show is fun, and I'm happy to dive into it a little bit since I haven't really got to go to a bunch of shows as of late with having the newborn. So yeah.
So appreciate you coming on. I'm just going to kind of jump in. I want to talk about kind of a few things that I saw yesterday. So this was kind of a new room, same place, Mohegan Sun. So it was a new room for the show. I got there extremely early. They sent out, they said, fair warning. They said, look, if you want load in to be good, right? Here's the times. They give everybody a time slot to load in. And my last name beginning with a C, I was one of those people that were early, right? I was at the beginning of that list, but it was okay. I got up early. I got there. I thought load in was if you got there early, if you followed the time slot, load in was okay for me. The new room was nice. And you can jump in on this too. I know it felt like it was a longer walk for guests to get from the parking garage to where the room was, right? But if you knew Mohegan, right, and you knew where to park and where to walk, it's probably less distance.
Yeah.
But if you were 21 and under, I think, and you had to follow a path,
I was just going to say that I grew up in Montville. I'm from Montville. So when you think about kids, like when they're in high school, they would go hang out at the mall, like that stereotype. Me and my friends would go hang out at the casino. So I know the casino like the back of my hand. They said Sky Convention Center. I knew exactly where that is, but I'm sure a lot of people don't know exactly where that is. Yeah. First off, though, the room I thought was way better. And I heard someone say it was more aesthetically pleasing, which I probably agree with. But on top of that, I felt it had great AC. I felt the temperature, which I think is actually you don't know that it's an issue until it's an issue and it becomes apparent, right? Like the temperature of the room at a card show is never the issue until it's clearly an issue, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good. And I thought the ballroom was beautiful. And I parked at the Riverview garage and then busted a right. And yeah, it's not a long walk.
See, it could be that Riverview garage could be confusing, right? Because it's a big garage and it extends the whole side of the casino.
It has two elevators, right? A left and a right.
So
if you go to the left elevators, it's a way longer walk. Yeah, absolutely.
You end up on you park on the wrong side of that, you end up on the other side of the casino.
And then it's like, oh, it's by the Krispy Kreme. Which of the 10 Krispy Kremes are you talking about?
Well, interestingly enough, The Krispy Kreme is at the entrance of both the Riverview entrances.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you can't use that as a location to I'm close. Maybe you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know a few people said they walked a long way, and I think they just didn't know where to park. And I guess if they're going to have it in that room moving forward, there'll probably be, a little bit, even better directions. I think Scott, probably did
pretty sure he did a video.
He did.
Here's the thing. Like, if you didn't follow the show's page, okay. But like, I knew where it was, and I still watched the video. And the thing that I picked up on that I wouldn't have really thought about was the left versus the right elevator that he hinted at or highlighted in the video, and that made that's like half a distance of a walk if you use the wrong elevator. So it was there at least. Like, I think he did. I don't know. I don't think he could have done a better job, like, kind of explaining it. He literally had like a camcorder in his car, like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. If you don't do it, honestly, it's on you. And, you walk a couple extra steps, and most people could probably use that, myself included. So,
what, I don't remember. What time did you get there?
I got there around 10:45, 11. So a little after the first open. Yeah.
All right, because I have a note here for myself that the show was busiest from 11 to 1:30. That's when it was just like looked
like good traffic when I was there. Yeah,
just a constant stream of people during that time frame.
And also, it's usually a 2-day show, right?
Yeah. So this, I'm not going to say it's the first time he's doing a 1 day, because I think
it's not the first. No.
He did a 1 day before, but this is like
this new room.
It's a new room and a new month. So
I thought it was pretty encouraging to see that much activity on a 1 day show. It almost seemed like the new show light, and I don't want to dub Scott's show anything other than what he wants to call it, but how I viewed it as, it's like, oh, here's the beta model to what it's going to be going forward, and look at all that we're going to be able to do. And personally, maybe I'm crazy, but I thought there was less Pokemon, and I personally enjoyed that. I don't know, but just me, right? I don't know if that's accurate, or it's just I just moseyed around the sports cards tables more, but I thought there was less Pokemon.
Yeah,
but I still think it's important for that to be there, because one of my good friends who came to the show with me, that's all he does, and all he bought. He bought Pokemon, and he had a great time. He's like, "Look at this, what I found," and I'm like, "I have no idea what that is, but you're happy, so that's awesome." But for real, he's a set collector for Pokemon sets and stuff, so he had a field day.
Right. What did you, so you get to the show, what do you see out there? Do you see prices are high? Do you see are dealers negotiating? Just some of your observations.
The one in the few, there was one dealer I was trying to buy cards from, and it just didn't work out. And I have a question for you too, because I'm sure you've come across this. You ever see a dealer where one or two of their cards in a very similar niche of genre? So for example, I'm looking at ultra modern basketball. It's Brandon Miller. He's probably he's a top 3 prospect in the new basketball in the Wemby class. Okay. He's on Charlotte. And this guy had some really nice Brandon Miller cards. He had a premier level select elephant, the case hit elephant. And then there was an aqua optic. There was a select purple ice, and there was that green, white, pink, or is it teal, white, pink out of 49. But anyways, there's all these numbered Miller parallels that I was kind of interested in. I think he's a good prospect. And his elephant price was really fair, and the other card prices were ridiculously high. And I sat there thinking, I'm like, is it more likely that he made an error pricing the elephant card, or that he made an error on the other 3 pricing them high? Was he trying to be fair, or does he know he's trying to be super high and just made a mistake on one card? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you see that all the time.
Well, if that's the case, then they just buy the card that they made the mistake on.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a deal. Like it wasn't like a no brainer deal. It would be like what I would consider a fair show price. So like sticker price at 120% comps, like that. You know what I mean? Like a fair sticker price. So
and the other cards were like 150,
double, yeah, 250, like two and a half times. And it was like I talked to him about it, and like he seemed reasonable, but like I was sitting there and I'm just like, it just like it didn't. The conversation seemed to not be like really going where I wanted it to go. So like I ended up just saying, hey, it's okay, I mean, because obviously, like depending how he buys a card, like he has to make money too, and some of the cards were still in like the eBay authentication, like no void, like so. One of the cards was his that he bought, right? Like I can see what he paid for it if he paid, if he bought it through eBay. So like, but he was like, nah, I bought these a while ago, so I'm into them pretty good. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I did look, like if he bought them like months ago, he probably could double his money at what the market value is. But it just couldn't get a deal done. But like I wasn't there terribly long. A big part of me going there was actually moving some stuff I had. But that was the one interaction I saw that I had with a dealer where like the prices, it was like I almost felt like his fair price was on accident. That's that, but I couldn't really say it's a reflection of the whole show. That was just my one really interaction. So.
All right. So you say you're there to sell. So you're presenting cards to dealers. What were the offers? Were you getting good offers on your cards? I mean, were people?
The second person I showed the better cards I had to at the show was Rich at Zwiddlebug Cards. And the price he offered was what I had in mind, what I wanted for them. So yeah. And then before that, I brought them to a well-known dealer. He offered me a fair dealer offer, nothing insulting, but like also the cards that I sold to Rich were, we're talking about a dual patch game used MJ Kobe and a dual patch game used Magic Jordan. Like, it's stuff that like I wouldn't really want to move at 75, 80%. I want a little more than that just because of what it is. And like that's like the type of card someone will come up and not really even look at a comp, even though it's an expensive card, and buy it. Like, cause it's like, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rich paid strong, and it was a really easy deal. And it was funny. You were set up next to him, and you're like, "Oh, Rich probably interested." And he had no idea that we knew each other. So it was an authentic deal with no prior bias of that. There's a relationship between us whatsoever. I know you guys are buddies too. And now I hope me, you, and Rich can go out and golf sometime, because that'd be a blast. But like, because that's what happens, right? We do a deal, and then I just sit there talking about golf. So yeah. It was an easy deal, and I was more than happy. And then I went around and sold a card or two elsewhere after. So it was good.
So were you presenting your cards, like your case, like to different dealers, like showing them, like, like even though they didn't buy, were there offers, because that's really what I'm most concerned at. Because I go to shows, I bring my case, but I never really offer it up on the thing, because I know, being on my side of the table, I know what the offers are going to look like. And a lot of the times I'm just like, I really don't want to sell the cards at 70 or 75%,
right.
If I'm going to be selling, and maybe even 80% if I got that offer. I mean, I want to be selling, closer to 90% at a show, right? That's the whole design of what I do. I'm going to go buy cards, and I know I'm not going to get 100% for them, but I want to be in the 90s somewhere on certain cards. And I do want to say, I think people were very respectful yesterday. It was one of those shows where people came, and certain cards I had priced over, like, because of what the last comp was. Now, if you look last month, and I know it's not last month, but certain cards like Brock Purdy, some of his cards were way down. I had one of his a rookie hollow, right, that had been selling for 320, 340, 290, and then all of a sudden there was one sale for like 214. Right. And of course, people see that they want to come in and offer 190 for the card. Right. There's no
got
way.
to be a 75% of that low comp. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a $300 to me in my eyes, still a $300 card. And I'd rather just hold it because it's early in the season. Here's a guy that could, he could get to the playoffs. I mean,
their team's all banged up. I mean, I just saw something today. I actually saw something before we hopped on because I'm in a ton of fantasy leagues, right? So McCaffrey is targeting to come back in November. That is not to get off track. Just like I feel like that's hobby relevant, fantasy relevant, this whole niche relevant, right? He's supposed to be coming back in November, and he was just in Germany to see a specialist for his Achilles tendonitis. So like,
but back on track. I mean, there's no reason. I don't think there's really that much reason his card should drop that much. So was it just one of those eBay sales? One that got away, somebody who got a great deal on a card? I don't know, but people were respectful, right? They came to the table, a couple cards. They said, hey, where do you need to be? And I said, look, I know some cards I'm a little high, and I sold a lot of cards yesterday, but some cards I'm a little high on, and that's one of them. And they were like, okay, that's good, no problem. Where most of the time people will be like starting to want to show me sales and convince me why I should sell it for less. Where they accepted what I had to say. Look, I'm a little high on this card, and that's where I'm going to be on that card. I felt I had steady sales, all day long. My bigger sales came in the morning, but I had steady sales all day long, and it was one of those days for me, and I think people are really going to relate to this, that I was like, okay, we're 3 weeks, we're in week 4 of the football season. There's some cards that I can't be too tough on, right? Because those cards could go down even lower. Right. So there was a number of cards I identified them. You look through your case, you go through my stuff on Friday before the show, and I identify some cards and say, look, if I get a decent offer on this card, or that card, and in my mind, I'm saying the decent offer is between here and here, right? That I'll take it. Where normally I'd say I really need to be up here where I'm willing to take a little bit less for the card. And probably why I had a lot of sales yesterday. Those cards were identified where I felt that were good cards. The comps were, probably on the decrease. The values are probably a little bit more on the decrease, and I'm happy to move them where I could still get a little bit out of it.
Yeah.
And that, I think, turned into a really good day for me, moving a lot of football.
That's good. It sounds like a lot of people were giving you offers, which is good. Because I heard from a lot of dealers that a lot of people were just window shopping and looking at cards, and I heard that from multiple people, which always makes me wonder if it's because how they're priced or their demeanor or whatever. Because sounds like that wasn't really a problem for you.
No. And one thing too is I have my cards priced. Right. And it's a little bit, and we said this I said this to you at the show yesterday. It's a little bit of a pet peeve. Like, I don't have a lot of time when I'm a dealer, right? I don't have a lot of time, and I go out and I'll start, looking at people's cards, and they'll be unpriced, so you don't know where they are. And then you start asking them, like, hey, what are you asking on this? What do you got to get for this? What's your best on that? There's a number of ways to say it. And the worst part is when a dealer's like, oh, I don't know, let's see and pulls the phone out and starts looking up the price. I'm like, I spent all week preparing for the show. I know by heart every single price of every single card I have there, and I don't have a lot of time to go out when I'm being a dealer. Have somebody, hey, watch my table, I want to take a run around the room. And if I run around the room and somebody says, oh, hold on, let's start looking that one up, I'm like, you know what, I'll be back. You figure it out. I'll stop back. I don't have time for that. But I think what you just said there, having the cards priced. I mean, if you show up and you see what my prices are, where I'm at. You know, if I'm at 150%, 200%, I'm at 100%. You know, I mean, if you know the value of some cards and you walk up and you see my prices, you know where I'm at on cards. So you know if you can negotiate with me or not, right?
Yeah.
If there's room for negotiation.
Yeah, I think about when I used to set up at shows all the time now, and like that time you just talked about. I wouldn't have that time to do all that. It's a lot. It really is a lot. Like, because I know you've mentioned multiple times, like, not only do you set up with the prices, you know the 3 to 5 last sales on each one of the cards in your case. Like, you have that preparation. So being prepared is never going to hurt you. So maybe that led to your success at this show, is like all those people that were deemed tire kickers, window shoppers from other dealers were really just maybe smarter shoppers, maybe more efficient shoppers, maybe looking for a better buying experience, like not business 101, you know what I'm saying? But like, kind of like it is transactions, you know. I know we have this pretty unregulated market here, but like if I go up to your showcase, and there's other dealers too, it's not just you. A lot of dealers have really appealing showcases, and they're priced, and they're easy to talk to, but a lot of people are not like that. I'm sure you know that too. So I think that matters. That makes a difference for sure.
And I noticed there was a price. There was a value of what people were looking for. What was most popular?
What was that value?
So to me, that value is between 2 and 500.
Okay.
You know, and I don't think people were looking to anything that I had, which is not much now in my case, that's over that price. You know, people kind of looked at, they would, you know, would comp it out and see where my price was versus the last sales, and be like, oh yeah, nice card. And knowing that, okay, he's probably priced pretty fairly. And sometimes people just don't know. They look and they'll see like a downtown, Justin Fields downtown or something, and they just don't know what the price is, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a guy that it could be, and not saying that I have that card. I'm just giving it an example, but it's a card that a guy who was really up and who was really down, and now he's starting again. So sometimes people are like, I have no idea where the comp is on that card. And that's what happened to me.
I saw the Fields in your case, and I was like, oh, I bet these have rebounded pretty nicely. I haven't even looked at his market, but like, he's playing decent football on a very established franchise that's been waiting for a guy for, you know what I mean? So I'm like, sure, Steelers fans that collect are chomping at the bit to just get any of his cards, right? So
you should have seen me Friday. I'm like, I know I got a few in here somewhere.
There's somewhere, yeah.
I went through boxes,
Yeah.
So, yeah. But there was a booth set up right across from us with this enormous buying station, right? And they had a line, probably 5 or 6 deep all day long, So, I didn't feel like I had great buying opportunities. For most, like a lot of people came and brought me their stuff, but there was a lot of stuff there that, I was closer to the front door than the back of the room, so I got to see things maybe a little bit before other people. But I had a specific sign of what what if I'm buying, what I am buying, and I did buy some stuff. I'll share a little bit later, but I just didn't feel like. In fact, I bought one card that came to my table, like, and said, "Hey, are you interested?" And interestingly enough, I started talking to the guy, and he's like, oh, wait a minute. He goes, I know your voice. I listened to your podcast. And then we got to talking a little more. And then he said to, I don't know who he was with, his wife, his girlfriend. He said, hey, do you have that other card? The other card. And she reached in her pocketbook and she pulled out a beautiful downtown. Right. So it wasn't a card that he was shopping table to table. It was a card of all of a sudden, it was for specific people, I guess he was going to offer that to. And I ended up buying that card from him. But a lot of times the cards that were coming, and I'd say too, like, I'm not going to argue with people. If people put it up and I'll say, hey, what are you looking to get for that? And they'll be like, well, the last sale was around 200. So that's where I'm at, you know, and if there's a card I really wanted and I'd say, oh, okay, well, can you do, they'd be like, no, I mean, I'm closer to 20. I'd be like, all right, thanks, appreciate it, thanks for sharing, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
it's okay, because it doesn't make sense for me to buy that and then try to really force a $5 or a $10, you know, to get out of something like that. You know,
something that you said I can relate to, right? Like, since this show is about the buyer perspective versus the dealer, right, or the show attendee. As an attendee, I think, for one, you said specific, so he had a specific card that he would show specific people. I'll tell you, I went first with my cards. I saw Chuck. I went to Chuck. Then we like, he made an absolutely fair offer. It just, like, I thought I could get more, and I did. But like if I had taken that, it would have been fine. Like, it really was. It was a good offer. So that doesn't work out. And then I go see you, and you're set up next to Rich. So then I make a deal there. Rich was the third dealer at the show, besides you and Chuck, who I know, that saw the card. Granted, like,
so you took that card to people you know first.
That's what I'm saying.
Before you showed it to people you didn't know.
And on top of that, think about this. You're much more interconnected in the hobby than a lot of people, right? But for people just coming to the show that may not know you, or if you go to a show anywhere that they may not know you, that buying sign definitely attracts more people. Like, I think that's important. Like, if your goal at a show is to buy, then absolutely do it. So, like, back when I was doing, like, when I was setting up more, me and the guy I was doing, like, we kind of split it together. It was so funny. And it worked. And this is what's great about it. It worked. We had this cheap, like, plastic, like, little thing that, like, a little stand that you put a sheet of white paper in. He took a Sharpie, wrote buying with like little Sharpie marks all around the word buying. Super cheap and garbage. People always came up because, oh, I see you're buying. And we're talking about the most crappy marketing buying sign ever, and it works. Do you have a buying sign with your setup?
Well, I guess it didn't work if you didn't see it.
Well,
you know what it is?
It's one of those, I didn't see it.
It's one of those plastic things that you put a sheet of paper in, and I didn't use a Sharpie. I printed it out. You know what I was.
That's buying. Nicer, but maybe you need a big banner. I don't know. I'm not a dealer. I'm just saying, like, we are creatures of habits. Yeah. I went to the people that I know first to try to move these cards, right? Like, and obviously with Chuck, like, a lot of people know Chuck, great dealer, great guy. Chuck, like, the best deals I've had with Chuck come through trade, because you're able to give a better value, I feel like, as a dealer through trade rather than buying. And I was mainly looking for cash. So that was fine, you know. But the buying sign, like, I remember the last show I went to,
and I just need to say Chuck Bird, right? I mean, because a lot of people listen to this, so they'll be like,
"Who is Chuck?
Be like, bro, who's Chuck? Who's this guy? And why is
CMB Cards on Instagram? Yeah, he's awesome.
What is he on Instagram?
CMB Cards. He's awesome. But, like, I know a big like, I went to the Northeast Expo when it was like, it was somewhere in Mass. Oh geez, I'm doing bad not pulling the locations, but it was one of the more recent Massachusetts shows, and We the Hobby was there.
Marlboro, Mass.
Thank you. We the Hobby was there, set up. They have this huge banner. They didn't even have cards set up. They were literally there to buy, and they were like, I think they even had the percentage they were paying on slabs. Like, and I went and sold some weird Panini Instant card to them, and they paid me 90% on that slab, which I was like, I couldn't give this away. You know what I mean? But, like, so I think I don't know. I feel like that buying sign, because I wouldn't have normally went up to those guys. I don't know them, but that buying sign attracted me in.
I think those guys have an outlet for those cards, right? I know they have an outlet.
Yeah, they can repack, and
you know, so to them, they're over a quantity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to think, I don't know them, I don't know their business, but from what you're saying, it sounds like that they're buying everything at 90% to move it at 95% or 96%
Probably.
or whatever. So instead of just making, $5 here or 5% there, right? They're buying as much as they can and then just moving that bulk at that same percentage.
Yeah.
And it's probably working for them, right? That's their, so the more you do, the more percentage, the more money you're going to make on it. Right.
Yeah.
So people coming to a show to sell, these are the guys they want to go to.
Right.
It's easier than going to someone like me who has to reprice it and put it in the case, right? And hope to sell it. See, a lot of times what I like to do, again, I'm buying for stuff that, well, now we're probably into 4 months from now, right? I'm still buying the Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins and, stuff like that, or these, that are not professional yet. And, I know they're going to do well in their season. So these are the cards that I'm buying now that I'm holding, but anything that I'm going to buy now most of the time I'm grading them, right?
Yeah.
If I'm buying anything, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to grade it, and then, put it out there. Very, very rarely I do. You see, I talk about, I have pickups every week, and some of the stuff I hold, some of the stuff I sell, some of the stuff is a short-term hold. I'll share.
You're no stranger. You're no stranger to buying slabs. I hear you buy slabs all the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say more on your Paige Beckers, though. I heard that name floating around as I was walking around a lot. And it also could be where in Connecticut, though. There's that.
No, people are trying to, and really that's what I'm banking on. People want the next Caitlin Clark, right?
Exactly. They're trying to capture that lightning in a bottle again. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I am too, in a sense where now is when people are starting to ask, because they know the college basketball is going to be getting going soon, and they're thinking now is a good time because it's in their mind when to get it. But someone like me who started buying, pre-national,
you've been picking up Beckers forever.
Yeah. And here we go. This weekend's pickups, right? It's a Paige Beckers, the blue Ray Wave PSA 10. If you're on YouTube, I'm just holding these up. The pink refractor Beckers PSA 10. This is a Kiki Rice PSA 10, and the other one was a Saquon Barkley downtown, and this is raw, still sealed. So, and this card looks clean, so I'll probably be grading that card, right? But it's funny, we all know being in Connecticut with Paige Beckers, it's Beckers, right?
Right.
Funny when people come around and they're asking for Bukers. Hey, do you have any Bukers cards? I'd be like,
it also feels like she's been at UConn for 10 years.
Well, she has, and
she redshirted, right? Like she got hurt.
She was injured. She was injured for a couple seasons, and then there was I think she came in maybe during COVID season too. I don't know.
Gotcha.
But she's doing an additional year. But a lot of that I'm sure has to do with NIL and not being. I mean, if she would have went pro last year, she would have been in the shadows of Caitlin Clark, right?
Yeah.
I think this. As long as she stays healthy, this should be her year to be the number one. But you never know. Season hasn't even started yet, so you don't know what's going to happen.
I know you like to occasionally rip wax. Like, what are the wax prices like for that Bowman? Like that product that you just picked up, are they like crazy?
Yeah, so the Paige Beckers is just this last year, right?
Because you can still get Caitlin Clark cards that are really valuable and autos in that set too of Caitlin Clark, right?
You can. So the hobby box on that is about $380, $390 for that Bowman U basketball hobby box. Comes with 2 autos and some stuff in it, but so here's the thing. The year before, Caitlin's first year, but her first Bowman, the 22-23, if you're ever interested in ripping those boxes, right? Go on to YouTube and watch people rip those boxes. There's hardly any women any of those Caitlin Clark cards in those boxes.
Wemby is in that too, right?
Yeah, and what makes it so high. And Juju Watkins, that's her first Bowman in that. But I'll tell you what, you watch them rip, and they'll pull out like one refractor out of like 4 boxes or 5 boxes. So for someone like me who would not be chasing Wemby out of there, which has really drove those prices now, I think they're like $460 for that hobby box. And I would be going for, Juju Watkins, Caitlin Clark, it wouldn't make sense. I'd be better for $460. I could be buying Juju Watkins cards already graded PSA 10, right? So there'd be no reason why I would go rip those boxes.
Quite a good chase though, if you just think about it. Like that's pretty good for a product chase.
Yeah.
Granted, it's probably hard to hit, but like I can think of a lot of like more recent, like just main like sport draft classes where it's like that sounds more appealing to open and chase, like rather than, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just that's interesting.
I mean, I know they're cheaper than like NFL and
I was gonna say, like, would you rather rip that or like 2022 football and hope you get a Brock Purdy? Like that's it. Like
that's why breaks are so popular, right? Because nobody wants to buy the box and take a chance of getting nothing out of the box.
Yeah.
So you jump into a break, and then you're paying a lot less. And if you lose, you lose. But it wasn't like you bought the whole box yourself.
Yeah.
And the chances if they're ripping a whole case, your chances of getting a case hit and things like that have just improved a lot. All right, so back to the show. It got slow towards the end of the day. The show went till 5. It was definitely slower. I think my last sale that I did was probably around between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. And I think at that point, people were figuring out that it was going to be almost a free-for-all, the dealers anyways, almost a free-for-all to try to get out of there at the end of the day, because they were just letting a couple cars in at a time to the loading dock to load up. So people were trying, all of a sudden at like 4:15, 4:30, it just turned into a mad. People were like packing their stuff as fast as they could, to go. Like, I'm by myself, right? So I had to pack my stuff up. I had to go walk all the way up to the parking garage, get my car, drive down. And again, I got lucky, right? I came down, I got down, I was like the 3rd car in line, and I didn't have to wait that long. There was people who could watch my stuff inside. And I got in and I loaded up to get out of there. But when I left, I could see that line of cards, the cars were probably, I'm not even going to guess how many cars there were, but as far as I could see, they were lined up to pull in there. And I thought to myself, man, I haven't talked to anybody this morning, but I bet you it took people a long time, to get out of there, especially if you were in that line. So I think if they're going to use that room, that would be the only thing that they would need to address for the dealers, is the load in, the load out. But I think, like you said, I think that room was good. It seemed nice. It seems similar to the other room to me, but maybe there was just more room. There was a lot of room. And that was another thing too. Even when it got busy in there, right, you could see people weren't on top of each other, right? That there was a lot of room in the aisles for people to move.
Yeah, it's definitely like, and there's nothing wrong with it. You have your VFW shows, you have like these other venues. Like, it's a nice venue. It's just like a nicer venue. And also that makes me kind of wonder, you said like people were more respectful. I know a lot of times, like when people are dressed up more or in a nicer perceived area, they're going to behave more. I wonder if that plays into that. Like, could just be a terrible guess, but it makes me wonder that too. Yeah. I mean, for me not getting out to shows and stuff, and I didn't spend a ton of time at the show, it was really great. Like with my time, like just what I made of it. So overall, I thought it was a good show to attend. But again, like, I didn't buy a card. I sold cards. So like, you know, I almost bought a card, but like it just seemed like something was kind of off with the dealer's overall prices that it almost turned me off to the one card that I was like, am I even paying a market value?
So you were being a window shopper.
No, I had a bunch of cash in my pocket ready to buy this, and this guy was 200% on every comp besides one card, and I was then thinking,
so besides him,
am I not seeing anything?
Take him out. Forget about him. Besides him, and this is kind of what one of the reasons I bring you on, right?
Okay.
Here you are. You got.
You want me to be blunt about it? I will.
You got a pocket full of cash.
Okay.
Right. And you take that guy out and now you're walking around, but you left with that cash in your pocket where you would have bought cards. So what was the deterrent? What kept you from, besides this guy and his prices, what kept you from buying cards?
You always hear from everyone, you need to buy better, buy better, buy better. I personally feel I can buy better than at a card show elsewhere. That's what I personally feel.
I hear people say, oh, I can get a better deal on eBay. I could get a better deal here. I can get a better deal there. So do you feel that outside of the car shows you're getting, because you're doing well, you're showing me all your W's.
I talk to you. Yeah, I don't talk to a lot of people. I show some stuff on my Instagram here and there. But yeah, like my whole hobby has changed because of having my son, like the baby. And I realized like I feel that like at my age, and I bet you a lot more people are in this position than they like admit. I'm not at a place financially where I feel I can have a big PC, right? Like I feel that I can do really well with buying and selling cards and having supplemental income to pay for things with my family, like vacations or down payment on my house, etc. So that's what I've been utilizing the hobby as, is like supplemental income, and it's fun for me to stay engaged with other people who like sports. I will say though, in my personal card ladder, I have cards that like it's almost like a wish list. Like eventually I want to buy these cards to put in like a lockbox for my son. So like as I continue doing what I'm doing now, because I feel like it's working better for me, I'm going to pick and choose when I pick up these cards and put them away. That's like ultimately a goal. But yeah, for now, I've been sourcing better, and I've been selling online. And as fun as card shows are for me, I don't have the inventory. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I would now, but that's just not in my hands with how I'm using them. I know I've explained it to you, but like to go to a show, spend a weekend at a show away from my family, and then hope I sell cards with having an upfront cost for real estate, like tables, right? I don't feel that risk is worth it for me when I found other opportunities that are making me more money without putting that money out. That's just me. That's me though. I like this model of card shows obviously works great for a ton of people. Like that's clear, or else they wouldn't still be happening. So yeah. Gotta buy better, right? That's what everyone says. It's just
and you really have to base it around what you can and can't do, how much time you have to put into the hobby, right? Someone like me, I have a lot of extra time.
Sure.
You know, my kids are all grown up, they're gone. You know, you're at a different stage. And I say to a lot of people who have young kids at home, you know, when I was that age, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't have been able to find the time to. That's why I stepped away from the hobby. You know, life gets in the way, right? It's you have kids, you raise a family. It's your kids playing sports and all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't until they were all gone until I was able to get back in.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd love to give you a quick anecdote about how it goes. Right. Okay. Here's how I picked up these most recent cards that I sold at the show, which I bought the night before the show, and I had a like money set aside for the show, basically as an entertainment factor to do this show with you. So hopefully I could talk about, oh, I got this, I got that, but it didn't work out that way. Like, so the night before the show, after I have a full-time job, so I do my full-time job. Then during the day I work remotely, which is great. I had messaged with someone who they wanted to sell some of their collection, right? Like a decent amount. So I get out of work, I go meet this guy in a parking lot over in like Colchester, Connecticut. For everyone who's obviously, you have people who have no idea what Colchester is, but I meet like in this mini mall, like Stop and Shop, AutoZone, Starbucks, Jersey Mike's kind of plaza, and buy this collection, and then go pick up my son and come home and watch him after, like, and then once he goes to bed, I'm writing papers because I'm a full-time grad student. Like, that is the day in the life. Like, if you want to make it work, you have to go out and make it work. Like, and the only reason I was able to make it work is because I was lucky enough that my mom, who's watching him while I'm working, my wife's at work, like, she was able to watch him an extra hour and a half so I could run out there and go buy the cards. Without that, this doesn't even happen.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, I probably don't have time. I'm just trying to make it when I can. It's like, or ask my wife, hey, can I please go meet up with this guy like, and buy these cards? And then I mean, obviously it's come to the realization, she like understands, like, yeah, you're not just like going around flipping cardboard for the hell of it. It's providing our family some sort of sustenance and some sort of benefit, right? So, but yeah, like that's day in the life. And then the next day I get up at 7 a.m., work out, do something for my residency course, and then I'm at the card show, and then I'm golfing, and then I'm back home up all night with the baby who didn't sleep, and now we're here doing this. And that's just how it is nonstop. So yeah. Making time is like, it's not impossible, but it's not easy, right? It's not easy. And I definitely wouldn't have the time to. My favorite like card like subgroup is the Boston group. I love all those guys up there, and that's where I would set up a ton just because I had such a great time. But like, I don't have the time to do that. Like, I really don't, you know. And I love those guys, but
it's nice that you're figuring out how to fit the time in and make it still work.
Trying when I can.
A lot of people just walk away and say, you know what, it's too much. I'm going to walk away right now, and I'll come back, you know, at a later time. And you see it, I see it. We know a lot of people who have done that. So
I mean, and it, for a lot of people, it could make sense to do that too. I think that's important too. Is like, as much as we love it and it's fun, there's an important like mental health aspect to it. To like, you need to have a self check-in of like, am I getting out of control? Am I like, just, wow, look at my credit card bill. Look at all these breaks I got in. You know, like, I think that's a way bigger reality than people will ever admit. It is. I know it is. I know that's something way bigger than people will admit.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know, and I know, setting up at the show, I know the guys who get into a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
Because they come and they'll say, "Are you buying?" And they open the case up, and there'll be 2 rows of Pittsburgh Steelers, or you know what I'm saying?
You a Steelers fan? No, I like the Bengals. What do you mean? It's like, yeah, right, yeah. No, I hate them.
Yeah, but
yeah.
So, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you chatting about the show. Happy things are going well for you.
Yeah,
definitely. We'll definitely get you back on here on a later show when I get something else creative I want to do, and
sure.
And you're into doing it. But tell people, if they have any questions, they want to reach out, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, on Instagram at Zips Cards, ZIPS Cards. So, yep.
All right. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.